All right. So I wait for a couple more minutes as people are joining. And I thought that, hey Grant, how are you?
I'm well, Blue. How are you? You you
I'm
you you look a little sick. You're a little blurry there, mate. You okay?
am I? I can't tell.
Yeah,
Is that better?
that's better.
Sorry, I made the mistake. I got this. I'm not 100% sure I like this because I can't see my camera and I can't quite see me. I got a an Elgato
Oh yeah.
teleprompter.
Mm-hmm.
And I and then I and so I have it plugged into my computer. It acts as another screen. I basically put zoom on it so that I can look into the camera a little bit better. But the problem is the teleprompter blocks the camera, so I can't quite see what's going on back there.
Ah,
And I guess I could drag zoom off of that just to see how I'm doing. But
have you got another? You could mirror just that one screen. Have
I
it sit up
could. I'm
next to
using
one.
it as I am using it as a third screen. I could also, what I didn't think of is I could use dual monitors and I could be,
Inverted.
very like I could pin myself like, oh, I must see myself constantly. That's
Do you,
fantastic. It's a little
and do you know what
egotistical, but
piece
there
of
it
tech? Do you know what piece of tech that's called? It's called a mirror.
is.
And it's
Oh
very
yeah.
cheap.
All right.
Hey,
Yeah.
I've got to
Looking
say
good. All
that.
right. Now I gotta put myself out of the way so I don't like just stare at myself like every other person on the planet does when they see themselves like, oh look, that's me.
I I am very jealous of that TV because
Oh, that one back
that
there. It's so
in
awesome.
that kind of painting mode, they are very impressive. Like that
They're really
seriously
neat.
looks like a painting.
Yeah.
Does not look like a
And it's
TV.
it's it's also fun when there's actually something going on in studio to be able to like just turn it on and
Yeah.
actually I have no idea what I have being sent to that TV right now. So we're gonna turn that back off.
Yeah,
Just turn that off. Anyway, it's fun when like the multi-view is up there or something like that because just kind of like this interesting texture going on in the background.
I have wondered what else you do in the studio when you're not running events in there. And that just made me a little nervous when you just turn the TV on. I have no idea what goes on in there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that nothing goes on in there. We turn everything off.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Oh man.
Right.
Um.
Got some updates.
Yeah. Do we want to start with
Well,
some updates? Hey,
well,
did certificates get
yeah.
pushed live?
Well, he said he was doing it.
I know I asked him to. Did it actually happen?
Well, he confirmed that he was going to do it. No, that's not the same as
Uh-huh.
that it did happen. But he
Exactly.
did say he
Those are
was
those
doing
are
it.
two different things.
So,
Is anybody on the call other than Grant and Heather logged into their Obvio account already? Just raise your hand if you are, like currently. All right, Tamara or Janie or Sarah, when you go into an event, if you can go all the way into an event and then look under features, do you guys see um certificates there? Just a thumbs up, thumbs down. No, not yet. Okay. So I'll just say this: certificates will be live tomorrow. um,
so close.
and and we can kind of give you a rundown of the full feature because I actually think it's pretty awesome. You want to do that? You want to start with that? What
Start with
do you
with
think?
certificates? Yes.
Yeah, you want to
Is that
start
what
with
you
that? All right.
you want me to start with that? You're starting with that?
No, I can do it. I'm just looking for my Squabbles certificate.
I feel, sometimes I feel like what it must feel like with when Blue and Barry are doing stuff on stage together. Hey, you want to? Should we talk about this? Should we have a minute to talk about what we're doing?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, let's actually start with just a few updates. So um we've been making a lot of inroads on Marketplace. We are also making a good amount of inroads on um, well, certificates. There's, of course, you guys already know there's a ton of stuff that has come out around forms recently. So I wanted to share something new that was released a couple weeks ago, and I'm not sure how many people have noticed it or if you guys have talked about it because I unfortunately have not been on these calls for a couple of weeks. So I thought I would give you a quick rundown of those things. So first off, if that sounds good to everybody, um, also don't forget ask questions using the ask a question button so we can answer your questions and do those fun things. So first off, let's go to forms as a starting point. I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing I want to share with you as it relates to forms is there's a new feature. Let's call this testing form. Let's testing June 5th. Okay. So there's a new feature inside of forms. And I'm not 100% sure what we should call it just yet, but let's call it, I'm going to call it dependencies. And here's what it means. Previously, you could create questions, right? So I'm going to say, do you have a business? Question mark. And I'm going to do a radio button as my options. And I'm going to put a yes, and I'm going to put a no option. And one of the things that we've wanted for quite some time is the ability to essentially ask a follow-up question, meaning if somebody says yes, then ask them a second question. And if they say no, then don't ask them to that second question. And how we've been doing it so far, like let's say we wanted to know the business name, we would say something like, if yes, what is the name of that business? Question. And then we would just click save, and of course the app would crash, and that would be awesome. What did I do there? Did you see what I did? Just out of curiosity? Me neither. Okay, so submit, thank you, URL redirect, add question. Do you own a business? Question mark. Make this a radio, add option, add another option. Yes, no, click save, just save that. And then add another question and say, what is your business name? Question mark, and make that a short answer and click save. Oh, that's what I did. I think I found a bug. Anyway, so now clearly what this feature does is it allows you to display this question only if the answer is yes. And how you would do that is you would go into the question settings and you would go to rules and you would add a rule and you would say form response, and it defaults to the existing form. It's the only type of form response rule you can do, unlike in other areas. And you select your question and you say is yes. Now you click save, and now you click save again. So inside of the business name question, we now have a rule so that it will only show if form response for do you own a business is yes. Now, how does this then appear, or how does it work or function inside of the platform? So I'm going to go and we'll go to the dashboard for this event, and we will add just make this a form, make it testing June 5th, because that's the actual form, and click save. So now let me go in and log in as that attendee or as unattendee. And so now when you first click on the button, you get the question, do you own a business? And if you say no, you can click submit. If you say yes, oh my God, seriously, did I forget to click save? Testing June 5th. Did I forget to do it? Oh, I did, man. Hey, Grant, remind me. We need to add.
Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to save?
Yeah, we need to add that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I keep forgetting to give that to Azim to do. Form response. Do you own a business? Is yes. Click save, and again, click save. All right, let's see. Now it's probably going to take a couple moments, but essentially, what'll wind up happening, if it was done, it would, if you say yes, then the actual dependency question or the secondary question shows up. So this is one of those things that has been something that a lot of people have asked for. I've wanted inside the platform for quite some time, and we've been trying to figure out actually how to implement it. And I think this works fairly well. So I will, as soon as it's actually landed on that dashboard, I'll bounce back to it for you guys. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you inside of Forms. The next thing that I wanted to share with you guys that's a new feature is certificates. Now we've talked about certificates before, but actually here, let me just share with you that dashboard because it is now live. So when the button is clicked, if you select yes, the business name question shows up. If you select no, then it doesn't. And there you have it. And then, of course, you can go as many layers deep as you want. Something to keep in mind for now, anyway, dependency questions or questions that are dependent on another question. I believe currently, don't really work, right? So here's the reality. You shouldn't do dependency questions based on text-based answers. You should only do, or rules-based questions. You should only do them based on, ideally, multiple choice or radio or select style questions. Because while you can create a when did you start your business? And we can make this we can have this dependent on form response. What is your business name is, but then you have to give a value, or contains, but then it has to contain that, or does not contain, but then it has to not contain that. It has to be the exact text. So I think one of the things that we're probably going to add to this at some point is not blank or something along those lines. So you can do it. But as it stands right now, it's a weird dependency question. So just keep that in mind as you're working with this. or as you're playing around with this, dependency questions really should be based on multiple choice style of questions. Okay. So next thing I want to share with you guys is certificates. So where certificates lives is under features, and there's an option down at the bottom currently called certificates. Some of you may be wondering why these aren't in alphabetical order, or what the order is, or is there a rhyme or reason to the order? The answer is no, there is not. So it is where it is for now. And first step, you click create new certificate and you name your certificate. So I'm going to call my certificate testing. Now, the next thing that you do is you need to upload a document, and that document can be a PDF. That document can be an image file if you want. We would recommend that you use a PDF. And what you can, when you upload a PDF, it is, even if you have a multi-page PDF, it is only going to use the first page as the actual certificate itself. So something else to keep in mind. So if you are going to upload a PDF, it really should just be the first page of that PDF. And I'm kind of looking for something that makes sense. You know what? This one may work. So I'm going to go ahead and click open on this guy, and I'm going to click create. And what that'll do is that'll then take me to the next page once it finishes uploading. And when it takes me to the next page, what I'll wind up with is a representation of the first page of the PDF. Now, I said that this one will work well, and it does, but it's a little bit difficult because it's a pretty large PDF. But we're going to give it a try anyway.
With that
This would have
being
been
said,
really-
Blue, are there limitations to the size for the images or the PDF?
There aren't. What I would recommend, though, I would recommend that you use a PDF that is 8.5 by 11, like it's an 8.5 by 11 page that's been designed by someone who knows how to create PDFs. And so that's where I would probably start, Heather. I also think it works best horizontally, but just keep that in mind. So a single page document is really what it's meant for, or a single page 8.5 by 11 is what it works best with. But that doesn't mean that you can't use something else. It just won't work as cleanly. So let me try and find a better PDF to use, because here, let me show you why I say a better PDF to use. So the PDF that I used is much larger than an 8.5 by 11. So it's kind of this whole big area. And this works technically. This is this is the first slide in a slide deck. That slide happens to be, I think, 1920 by 1080. So this technically will work, but I don't love it from a size perspective as a demo. I'm going to use it anyway. Okay. So once you have your PDF uploaded, now the next thing that you want to do is add text. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, man, this would be so much easier. Give me 1 second. Grant, would you talk for 2 seconds? Oh, Muddy, I'm using your PDF. Thank you. I hope. I'm going to open it before I share it. I wonder what he's given me. Could be something inappropriate. I doubt it.
It's a completely generic PowerPoint certificate of training. So just what you need.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Okay. So demo certificate, upload PDF, and now click create. All right. This makes a lot more sense. So now once you have your certificate, and this is a pretty standard size page document, it's a little bit smaller than 8.5 by 11, but it works great. Generally speaking, what you're looking to do is you're looking to put in, this certifies that Blue Melnick or Grant Whitehead or whoever has successfully completed the training. And generally what you would do is the trainer and the date would be pre-filled. So what we'll do is we will add a piece of text, and that adds this text onto the certificate. And you can now just kind of move it around inside the constraints of the document itself. There's a thin blue line that shows you the border of where the document is or where the system perceives the document to be. I'm going to click on the gear the same way we edit pretty much anything else. And you'll see that you have the text for first name, last name, email address, phone number, and then some documentation that says you can also use groups as variables. So I'm going to put first underscore name space last underscore name. And then I'm going to go to styling, and I am going to change my font to be something a little different. And I'm also going to change the color. And we'll have the color be moderately close to the color of the border. And now click save. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that document or that element, and I'm going to center it. Within the next week or so, we're working on a feature that will horizontally center this for you by just clicking a button, and it'll center it exactly where you have it. But for now, you kind of have to eyeball it, if you will. Now, every time you move something around, there's no saving involved, right? You don't actually have to click save anywhere on this page. And we found that, or I found that a little bit confusing. So there's a little indicator up here, this little green light. Anytime you make a change, it'll indicate that it's saving, and then it will say saved, and then the text will go away. So it's pretty fast. It happens near instantly, but there's no actual save button on this particular page. So that's it. That's my certificate. This is what I want my participants to download. So now I'm going to go back into certificates. I see that I named it demo certificate, and I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and I want to make this accessible to my attendees. So I'm going to take this same button, and I'm going to call this download certificate, and I'm going to throw a little badge on there. And then you'll see a new option that appears called certificate. And there's some things that you can do with once that's selected. There's some new items that show up. So first things first, I'm going to select the certificate that I want this button to be associated with, which is the demo cert, meaning you can have as many certificates as you want for different reasons, like for different things, and provide different buttons based on rules and tags and groups. Next up, there's a couple of different things to be aware of. When the button is clicked by the participants, this download certificate button, it changes the text inside of the button to essentially indicate to the attendee, hey, we're creating your certificate, hang tight. So right now, the default text is generating, but you can say generating your awesome certificate. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to say generating your certificate. And then from there, you can also adjust, once that happens, in addition to downloading the certificate, we also send an email to the attendee with a link to download their certificate. So there's a little pop-up that is very similar to the pop-up that is used for points, that defaults to saying your certificate will be sent to your email. You can customize that text right here. You can also customize the background color and the text color itself. I'm not going to do those things for now. I'm just going to leave it alone, and I'm going to click save. So now this download certificate button appears. Now on the dashboard, I'm going to wait a few moments because, oh, look at that. It's there. So now if I want to download the certificate as the attendee, I just click download certificate. It says generating your certificate. It lets me know that the certificate will be downloaded to my email, and it also downloads the certificate inside of the browser window. Now, there are some use cases from time to time where the certificate may not download inside the window. And that is essentially possible if the system is running slow, right? Like if for some reason you have like thousands of people who are trying to download the certificate at the same time, and the generation of that certificate takes more than 10 seconds, then it won't download inside of the window, but it will be downloadable through the email that gets sent to the attendee. Okay. So just so you know, that is that is an awareness. I have yet to see that actually happen, but we also haven't made this feature live for everybody just yet. Generally speaking, the download of the certificate takes a couple of seconds, so the system has to be really slow for that to happen. But just so you have the awareness that that's possible. This is the certificate that I downloaded, right? So it inserted my name, because that's the attendee that I was logged in as, onto the certificate. And that worked exactly as I would have expected it to. In addition to that, I got an email. And the email comes from TVE7, the virtual event on virtual events. And when I click on it, it says, "Hello, Blue, your demo certificate is ready for download. Click the button below to download your certificate at the bottom of, or use the link at the bottom of this email. Download my demo certificate." And then it's signed by the event. So this email is not currently customizable, but we are adding some custom text into it based on the event. So number one, it comes from, the name that it comes from is the name of your event. So in my case, the event that we're working inside of is called the virtual event on virtual events. And it's pulling that name and placing it on or as the from name. It's also putting it in the signature space of the email itself. Next up, the text or the name of the certificate, so demo certificate in this case, is inserted into the copy that we've written, right? So your certificate name, in this case, demo certificate, is ready for download. And then in the button itself, download my, and then again, certificate name. So I named it demo certificate. Okay. So that's what happens from the attendee's perspective. Now, in addition to that, we've added a few other things because we felt as though the certificate feature may be, sometimes somebody may not actually download their certificate before they leave, but they wanted to. So you may have a situation where you need to send an attendee their certificate. So how you do that is under the attendees table, there's now two new features. One is download certificate and the other is send certificate. So how this works is you start by searching for your attendee or for a group of attendees. And in this case, I'm just going to search for Blue at poweredbysage.com. That brings up my attendee inside of this event. And now I can go attendee tools, send certificate, and select the certificate to send and click send certificate. Now, that then sends an email back or out to me. And you'll see I just got a second email with, it's the exact same email that I would have gotten had I clicked on, had the attendee clicked on the link. Okay, so that gives you the ability as the user, right, as the host of the event, to send out these certificates post-event. You can send them out to your entire list. So if I were to, without, or to your entire attendee table, if I were to click attendee tools and click send certificate right now, it would, and I select demo certificate and click send, it would send out 931 certificates to each of these people. Now, if I wanted to go and filter this a little bit, so I want to send this to everybody whose name is Blue, I can do that and go attendee tools, send certificate. The filter, whoever, the send certificate will only ever be sent to whoever is shown inside of your attendees table, is how that works. Now, with that being said, you may be in a situation where you want to download the certificate for somebody, and you can do that as well. So if I could learn how to spell my own email address, this would be way easier. So under attendee tools, there is download certificate. And if you click on that and you select the demo certificate and click download, what'll wind up happening is, again, you as the user, not the attendee, but you as the user will get an email from Obvio saying certificate export ready. And you can download that, that document. It is a PDF. It actually comes downloaded as a zip file. And the zip file, if there's more than one in it, when it's unzipped, you'll get a little folder. If there's only one in it, as there is in my particular case, then just the PDF gets unzipped. But essentially, it comes with the name, the name of the PDF, or the PDFs that you download are certificate name _ attendee email address .pdf. So if you download 20 of them and you want to send out those emails in a more customized fashion, you can do that. So it's a fairly fully thought out system. They're very, I'm really, really, really happy with the features that are there currently. There are a couple of things that are coming in the coming weeks. Number one, currently, once you create a certificate, there's no way to, let's say you change the certificate, the PDF itself, right? Like you uploaded the PDF, you've created your certificate, and you're in a good place, you love it, but then you're like, oh, geez, you know what? Instead of a purple border, I want to make this a red border. There's no way to replace the PDF background currently. That is a feature that we're going to add to the system. So you'll be able to go into a certificate that you've already created and replace the certificate itself, replace the background. For now, if you're in a situation where you make a change to your certificate, all you need to do is create a new certificate, right? So you would go to certificates, you'd create a new one, and then just delete the old one. And how you delete the old certificate is using the 3 dots inside of the certificates page and click delete, and that will delete the certificate itself. So that's that is the certificate feature. Some people have, or how you would, there's a lot of different ways that this can be used. But in terms, the easiest thing that you're probably going to use it for, or that you may want to think about, is based on attendance, right? So especially people who have to issue credits for attendance, you can use this in combination with the Zoom attendance feature, where you can go into Zoom attendance, pick a time frame, and say, okay, anybody who was present for a minimum of 60 minutes, give them a tag certificate. And now on the dashboard, create a button that is download the certificate for having attended for those 60 minutes, and limit the visibility of that button to people who have the tag certificate. So there's a lot that you can do, and we've made it really, really flexible. So you have a lot of options. We actually had a client, or we have a client that is planning on using the certificate feature based on form responses. So what they're doing is they are creating for those of you who were on the Leap Q&A call yesterday, you'll probably chuckle when I say this, but they're creating an award. And that award is based on how much revenue an attendee has created in their real estate business. So when they log into the dashboard for the first time, there's a form on the waiver step, and it says, how much revenue have you generated in your real estate business? And there's like under 200,000, there's 200 to $1 million, there's $1 million to 2 million, whatever the ranges are, right? And then what they've done is they've created 5 different certificates, one for each amount of revenue that they have, that the attendee has created, and they're providing them with a design certificate that says, like, congratulations, Grant Whitehead, for achieving the result of having between $100,000 and $200,000 in revenue in your real estate business. You're awesome, right? The "you're awesome" part I added. I'm sure that's not on the PDF, but that's essentially how they're doing it. And they are then creating buttons, one for each of those certificates, or one for each of those different levels. And the rules, the visibility rules for the button, are based on the form response, right? So it's a pretty, I mean, despite what I said yesterday about awards, I think it's a pretty neat way to actually implement something like that in combination with the certificate feature. So there you go. I've said certificates way more times than I have in the last 30 minutes than I have in the last 30 years of my life. And happy to answer any questions you guys have about that. It will be, like I said, it'll be available tomorrow. We'll make it live for everybody. And then there's a couple of little minor tweaks that we are making to the certificate feature. One, the ability to change the background, like I said, and 2, the ability to take that text block and click a button to center it on the PDF. So both of those things are coming, but in the meantime, there's workarounds, and we thought that we didn't need to wait for those 2 features to be available in order to put it in your hands. So I hope you guys love it as much as I do, clearly, because I think it's a lot of fun.
It's really cool. It's really cool. We've talked about it for some time, and so it's nice to actually do it well. You know, have it well featured. So
yeah, it's
I
really
think
neat.
I think
And I like what
lots of
Muddy
people
said,
do
right?
it
A form.
even. Sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think lots of people will do it. This is a perfect example of something that works big, that will work small. If it works big, it works small. And so you have, you know, like an event with 10 people in it, and now they get a full on certificate, and you know, like it's a really cool thing that you once you've set it up, it'll just kind of work automatically. You can do it all before the event even starts. So
Yeah, it's really neat. Um, it, and yeah, somebody asked in the chat, what can be added as an overlay? Just text. But you can customize that text, of course. Like I said, you can choose any one of the fonts that are available anywhere else in the platform, color, of course, weight, etc. And that font, or sorry, that text is meant to be dynamic, right? So you can type in something manually there, but if you're just going to type in "you're awesome" and use the text generator to do that, you're better off just adding that to the PDF and making the PDF a downloadable resource, right? The certificate feature is really meant to customize individual PDFs as they're being downloaded using the attendees' information. And yeah, you can use anything that's in the attendees table, with the exception of tags, in that spot. So I think it's pretty awesome. Yeah, and you can do different tags for different people. What I was describing with the real estate awards, they're making essentially certificates don't have limitations to who can download them, right? Any attendee technically can download a certificate. But how they download the certificate is by clicking a button on the dashboard. It's the button itself that has the restrictions, right? So you make the button only visible to people who answered a form question in a certain way, or you make the button visible only to people who have a specific tag, or you make the button visible only to people who have a specific group. So that's how the limiter works for the certificate feature. It's based on the rules that are already in place for buttons. It's just now buttons can be pointed to a certificate in addition to all of the other things they can do. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. David, will there be one text field available on the certificate? No, you can add as many text fields as you want. In my examples, I'm only using one, but in theory, you could add their name all over the place. Or, you could say, okay, I need to put the person's name here, but the bottom right-hand corner of the certificate needs to include the user's email address. Well, then no problem. You can do that. Yeah, you can use multiple text overlays inside the certificate feature. It's pretty neat. All right. All right. So next up, you guys have been asking and asking and asking, and for good reason, because we've been talking about it for quite some time. Hey, Barry Baumgartner. What's up?
Yeah.
I am on the Obvio call.
You're not on the Obvio call, are you?
I know. You guys have been asking about Marketplace for quite some time. And I've been telling you that Marketplace is coming. Pardon me?
And keep asking.
Yes. Yeah, please do. I thought I would actually take a couple seconds and just give you a loose demo of it, which is really, really brave because it's not 100% ready, but I thought we'd at least show you that, yes, this isn't just lip service. We are, in fact, actually working on it. So I haven't really fully thought through exactly what I'm going to demo. So much like the certificate feature. Muddy, I do like that word, the not so distant future. Okay, so let's take a quick look at what this looks like. So I'm going to go into Marketplace in this same event, and currently, let's delete that one. And currently, there's two options inside of Marketplace or in the Marketplace submenu. One is tickets, and one is the purchase page. So first off, tickets are, of course, where you actually create. You're right, Muddy. The TVE dashboard will never be the same. This is where you create your different ticket types. So inside of general admission, you've got the name. You've got a brief description, which I enjoy writing things that make me chuckle. And then you have some availability. So when the ticket is visible on the public purchase page, there's from and there's to. And then there is what tags or groups that you would like applied when this particular purchase or this particular ticket is actually purchased. And then whether or not the ticket is hidden or active. And then, of course, I think I said the purchase price. Now, you can have multiple tickets, and you can also order those tickets. There's a reason for that, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. And there's a reason why you may want a hidden ticket but that is also active. And I'll explain that. Maybe not today, but definitely eventually. So first up, or next up, I'm going to go to the purchase page. And this particular purchase page doesn't yet have anything associated with it. So as a starting point, you can create two. We're gonna have some templates that you can choose from, or of course you can just create a blank template, or you can create a blank page. So I'm going to start with a blank page in this particular case, which may be the most dangerous thing that I can do, but I will anyway. And now I've got a page and there's nothing here. Most of you should probably start with one of the templates that we create for you. And we have, I think we're going to start with 3 or 4 different ticket or templates that are ready to go. So that you can at least start with something rather than have to create something from scratch. So I think what we're going to try and do, just to make my life and your life a little bit easier. I'm not sure if this is going to turn out all that well. I was going to share my entire screen, but I have a pretty wide screen, which can be kind of hard to see if you're not on a wide screen. So, and the reason I was going to do that is here, let's do it like this. Can you guys share? Can you guys see the full screen? You see this right here, and then you see the TVE 8 website right here, right? Okay, cool. All right, so let's just start by trying to emulate what I've got going on here. How the marketplace system works is you have sections, which are kind of like big long rows, and then inside of sections you can have content blocks. And sections can be copied. They can, of course, also be moved up and down, and there's a lot of other stuff that can happen to them. I'm going to start by I'm going to download this logo, this Sage logo, and we're going to try and create this black bar just at the top as a starting point. So we're going to add a content block, and I'm going to add an image. And then inside of that image, we are going to grab the Sage logo and skip resizing. I'm just going to let it appear as it is. And we are going to set the size. Sure, why not? Just like that. And I'm going to take my alignment and I'm going to align it to the left. And we're going to resize this. Okay, so there's my logo. Next up, I want to make the background the right color. So I'm going to grab, that's not exactly black, but it's pretty close. I'm going to grab the color itself, and I'm going to take and I'm going to add a background color to that bar. And I'm going to go ahead and click save. Now we're going to add the text. I'm going to add this as a title block, and the text is August 9th through the 11th. In case anybody was wondering, that's when TVE is. Okay, so now I've got the text in here. Of course, it's not exactly right, so I'm going to go into my typography, and I'm going to change the text. I'm going to change the size. I'm going to change the color, and I think that is probably all I need. Oh, there's one other thing I need to do. I need to take my horizontal alignment and make it on the right and click save. Now I'm going to resize this and then drag it up so it's on the same line as the logo itself. And then I'm going to take this and drag it to the far right-hand side of the page. Okay, so now if I were to click preview, this is going to open up a new window. And you're going to see that I have essentially the beginnings of this page, right? My bar is about the same size, which is surprising. I didn't think it was going to be that close. And there you go. So now that I'm done with that portion, so I'm going to click add a new section. And in this particular one, I actually don't know if I have that image. So we're going to see if I can find that image. And save image as background, save. Okay. So now again, I'm going to go into my section settings. I'm going to go and I'm going to go to the background area. I'm going to click upload, select background, which is that background image, and skip resizing. Just make it the full size. And now I'm going to click save. So I've got my background image, and we need this TVE logo. So I'm going to, again, come in here, add content block, add an image, and click open, skip resizing. I just want the full thing. And I'm going to make this just 100% and make that about that size, ballpark. Now, next up, this is a video, and I am not sure if I can. This is a searchy video. So there's a couple of things here. I'm not 1000% sure where that video is in this moment, but I'm going to add a video block. So one of the blocks that you can add is video. And click add. And when I click on the gear, if you go to the Vimeo, or sorry, if you hover over the video URL, you can use YouTube, Vimeo, Searchy, or Wistia URLs right here. Anything that you have hosted somewhere else, you would just use a video embed code, which you can copy and paste here. Now, for now, just because I'm not 100% sure where that video is, and I don't want you to have to wait for it. Wow, what is that? These are some interesting videos. TVE 7 recap video, maybe that. Where is Christian? Wow, I really got to do. Oh, look, there's Barry. Huh. You know what? Let's just use this one. All right. So I'm going to take this URL and I'm going to copy it into my video URL and click save. Couple things that I'm going to do. I'm going to take the alignment and align it to the left. And I'm going to increase the size a little bit. Again, we're trying to match this. So that's probably a little bit too big. Something along those lines. Okay. So next up, I want to add this part here, get the proven playbook for a purpose-driven payday. So again, I'm going to come back here, go to title, click add, and click get the proven playbook for purpose-driven payday, but I'm going to just bring this in as regular now. There we go. Text, and then I'm going to go to styling and see if this is the same. Sure, that looks like it's about right. Maybe a little bit smaller. Change this text to black, kind of black, and click save. And now I'm going to adjust the size of this and then move it over to the right. Okay, so now we have a problem because the drag and drop feature of the dashboard works really, really great. But if there's nothing above it, then it goes to the top. You can't drag it to the next row down. So one of the things that we have is something called a spacer. And it's a block that doesn't have any styling associated with it, but you can put it above something to put it exactly where you want it on the page. So that's what I'm going to do in this case, get it pretty close to where I think it should be. And then I'm going to go in and adjust my couple of things here. I'm going to adjust my alignment to be top, and then I'm also going to adjust it to be left because I'm noticing that that's what that design calls for. And then I'm going to make this a little less wide and drag it a little bit further away from that video. Okay, so things are coming along. And now we're going to add another piece of text. I'm using titles here, but we also have text blocks. And text blocks you'll be pretty familiar with because the type of block that they are is one of our text editors, which you guys are familiar with from having seen them inside of blog posts and other places in Obvio. So if you want, you can bring that in here. Inside of a text block, you have all the same capabilities that you have inside of blog posts. So if you want, you can actually insert media, images, HTML. You can make all of the different changes that you can make in other areas right here. So a couple things that I'm going to change is my vertical alignment. I'm going to make that top as opposed to bottom. And then I'm also going to highlight this and change my font size to be 22. Sure, that sounds about right. Now, something I'm going to do in this particular case, if I want this a little bit further apart, but I don't want to add a spacer, we do have some advanced spacing options. So if we wanted to add a little bit more padding at the top just to push it down a tiny bit, you can. And now if we were to go back to our preview page and refresh the page, you'll see that things are a lot more, they're coming along a lot better. There's still something that's missing here, which is I don't see these icons anywhere. So that's because of the size of the background image and where it's positioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the background positioning to be bottom as opposed to center so that that background piece becomes a little bit more prominent, and see what we think of that when we actually refresh it on the preview page. Now, okay, now I see that the images are visible, but I don't really love that, right? Because I don't like how that black circle appears right there. So we're going to go again back into the editor, go back into the section settings, and I'm going to make a minor change to what we've done. I'm going to remove the the background, and I'm going to place this inside of the content background, which is a little bit different. It's a slightly different space. And when I do that, you'll see, okay, well, that's interesting. Now the content itself has that image, and this is a little bit more visible the way I would expect it to be. Does it work? I don't know if it's 100% right, and it's definitely, my background of the section is white now. So now I've got another issue. So I can come in here, go back into background, and change my background color of the full section to be the same color. We're going to get close. So that's not quite right either. Again, I didn't actually demo this myself before. I've built this page before. It's just been a while. And I didn't actually demo this before this call. So good times. Let's see. We're going to try something a little bit different to try and get those pieces onto the page, but where I want them. So something maybe more like that. Bottom, and let's go fill width. See what happens there. Anyway, again, I think you guys are seeing hopefully you're seeing that there's a lot of flexibility here in terms of how this works. I'm not getting exactly where I want to get yet, but we're getting close. So now I'm going to do one last piece before we move on. Oh, I forgot about the button itself, didn't I? Yeah. Save image as background 2. So something else we had here is claim your spot today with a little arrow. So I'm going to click add content, go to button, and drag the button under this area here, make it a little bit more narrow. so that it kind of fits right under this. And now we're going to work on making this the same. So I'm going to click right arrow. It's probably this guy right there. I'm going to say claim your spot today. I'm going to put the arrow on the opposite side. And then I'm going to go to styling and change this text. And also change the background color to match that button. And I'm not going to customize the background. I'm just going to leave it alone. And I want my border radius to be nice and large so it matches kind of that rounded look. So again, click save, and we're a lot closer to where this button is. I'm going to change my width here to 100% and 100%. Reason I'm doing that is I want to actually size the button with the actual layout itself. So, you know, there's a couple different ways that you can size buttons. You can size them inside of the actual content block using height and width. Or you can, if you get close enough, you can just make it 100% and move it around based on the actual piece there. Oh, there we go. Maybe we're getting there. Huh, interesting. Okay. So now let's go back and refresh this page, see what this is looking like. So this is definitely getting closer to what the original is. Of course, it's a different video, but that's, you know, that's just is because. So now let's create this next piece again, just so you guys see. This is, of course, so much easier when you have all of the different assets, but I'm going to click add a new block. The reason I'm adding a new block is because each time the full background area changes completely, it's much easier just to add a whole new section, sorry, not block, a whole new section and style the section appropriately. So in this case, I am going to go into the section that we just created. And I'm going to, now I really do have, there's a reason why you have both content backgrounds as well as why you have both content backgrounds and section backgrounds or full backgrounds. And you'll see what that is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click open, skip the resize, and go ahead and change my background repeat to full and click save. Okay. So now I've got, I'm getting there, right? So I've got my background and I've got my content color. I'm going to go ahead and add a title. And my title block is going to say 2024 is the year. I guess that's capital. We're going to go in here and again, change my font color. I'm going to make this bolded, remove the caps. Not sure if that's the right font. I actually don't think it is, but we're going to use it anyway. And then I'm going to adjust the size to get the piece that I want. And now I'm going to add another content block that is a text block. Click add. This one I'm going to copy and paste. And perhaps increase my sizing just slightly. That's close enough for now. And make this a little bit larger. Bring this in a little bit from the exterior. And now we have, we're getting there, right? This isn't exactly what this looks like. Oh, and I want this same button to be here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this button that copies it directly into here. This is one of those things that I know isn't working properly. So I'm going to try and move this to the next section by clicking, believe it or not, the up arrow. You'll actually click the down arrow when you need to when you need to do it. And we'll put it approximately where it is. And now we'll go in and take a look and see how this is looking. And you're going to see some things that don't look quite right? Because there's no space there. So again, this kind of comes back to advanced spacing. So we're going to go into section in this particular case, and we are going to add, I think it's top padding that I need to add. So I'm going to add 40 pixels at the top, and I'm going to add 40 pixels at the, oop, that's the right. That's not helpful at all. 40 pixels at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And then I'm going to come back here and click refresh. And now that's a lot closer. It's still not 100% right. So I'm going to go back in, and I'm trying to remember. Oops, that's not where I'm going. There is additional spacing. This one's margin, but I don't think that's right. No, that's not right. Okay, so I think in order to get the spacing that I want, I need to actually just give this a little bit more room. And this a little bit more room, kind of like that. And that's probably going to come pretty close. Now, here's an instance where you may want to come back in here and use the line height, right? You could go that route. Or we could add a little content block and add just some space down at the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that pretty thin. But now when I come back to this page and I click refresh, you'll see that this is starting to look a lot more like that. I have a little bit too much space there, but again, I'm not going to worry too much about that in this moment, again, for this demo. So, you know, hopefully you guys are seeing this is a lot more, or this page builder gives you a lot more capability than what we have, what we've done with the dashboard templates, right? The dashboard templates are very much, they're structured, and they're built like that for a very specific reason. And it has to do with scalability and the ability to, you know, to have hundreds of thousands of people do the exact same thing at the exact same time on the dashboard. Generally speaking, the way sales pages and the way traffic on sales pages works is a little bit differently than how it works on the dashboard. Now, with that being said, we are, there is really solid scalability built into the marketplace system. We use a lot of the same features and functionality that we have inside of the main dashboard. So you can send a lot of traffic to a page really quickly. And there shouldn't be any scalability problems that you see. You know, again, we haven't fully tested this live yet, but we have done internal load testing on it. And we have a couple of things that are still to come to make that that even better. So the system is really coming along. My hope is to actually get it into your hands in a more functional way within the next, you know, couple of weeks. You know, there's a couple of, you know, Grant, myself, and Mike, our lead developer, we're on a call this morning from, I don't know, it was like 7 a.m. my time until about 9 a.m. So we were on, you know, on talking about like little bugs and little things that needed to be tweaked for a couple of hours. And, you know, the dev team, we have like 3 people who have been working nonstop just on this for the last little while. Muddy, is the page mobile responsive? Yes, it is. So there's a couple of things to be aware of. And that one of the bugs that we have that the team is working on right now is something that relates to mobile. But I'll give you the short version. First off, inside of the editor, you can click to mobile. And when you do, the page width changes immediately. And this is what you'll see by default. Now, that's not a very, very pretty look, right? Like that really needs some work. But you can make changes to the size of individual blocks, as well as to the order of individual blocks on the mobile side. And when you flip back and forth to the desktop version, the changes you make to the mobile version don't affect the desktop in terms of size and spacing of blocks. In addition to that, blocks and sections have something that is called visibility. So you can take an entire section or individual blocks and have them be visible only on desktop, only on mobile, or on both. So, as an example, when in our live page, this top bar doesn't appear on mobile because it just takes up space. So you can, literally just go in, and this isn't working currently. So I'm going to click desktop here and click save. And when you go to mobile, oh, look at that. It is working. So when you go to mobile, it disappears. And that, now we're talking. Now this is a little bit more in line with what I would want. Now from here, we may go like, okay, make that a little bit smaller, put the title above it, put this here, make this a little bit smaller. Okay, now let's make the video full size, and then let's take this button and put it right there. Okay, now when you go back to the desktop version, again, no changes, right? Just based on the moving around of things. One of the things that I don't think is working is maybe the visibility for blocks is what's not currently working, because that block shouldn't be visible, like that block that I just hid, or maybe it's backwards. Desktop only, mobile only. Yeah. Anyway, so they are responsive. They are responsive pages. They will scale as the windows scale up and down. And there's a point at which the pages transition to mobile, and you have the ability to, or you will, once it's fully functioning, have the ability to have certain things that are visible on mobile that are not visible on desktop, and vice versa. So quite a bit of functionality. And yes, you can create blocks that are mobile only. And that would just simply be by on the mobile editor, or when you're in mobile view. Actually, it doesn't really matter where you create it, right? But you'd probably makes sense to do it here. So okay, I'm on mobile view. If I were to go here and I click add a content block, and I add a title, right? And I wanted this title to be mobile only. When I go into the editor, I would click mobile only, click save, and now I can put this exactly where I want. So, even if you can't, like if I can't get the exact layout that I'm hoping for from the mobile editor for a specific piece of text that exists on desktop, you can just hide the desktop version and create a mobile version. The other thing you can do, rather than having to create it right from scratch, individual blocks can be copied, right? So I can say, get the proven playbook for a purpose-driven payday, copy that. So now it takes it to the bottom, but now if I want to bring it back up here, again, go in here, make this one available for mobile only, and then go into this guy here and make this one available for desktop only. Again, it's not working properly in this moment, but when you do that, the one that's desktop only won't display in mobile view, and the one that is mobile only won't display in desktop view. So a lot of that stuff is there. already. So yeah, we're really excited about it. I haven't, again, I said we really haven't shared a lot publicly with you guys about this because it's been it's been a work in progress. But I'm really excited with how it's coming along, and hopefully within the next couple weeks we get it into your hands and have you able to start working with it. I say next couple weeks. We have a few things that we're working on in the next couple of weeks, so who knows? Maybe next couple months, but we're hoping for the next couple of weeks. Yeah, the fact that nothing seriously went awry there, Muddy, is and unlike the original iPhone, I didn't have to do things in a particular order. I didn't practice any of that clearly. So yeah, I'm really excited with how well it's coming along and how well the team has been able to do the things that we wanted done. We really wanted this page builder to be a lot more customizable, right? Than the regular dashboard editor. And I think we've gotten really close, really close.
If I was a drinking man, then I would have been drinking shots after each function worked in that demo. That's what the iPhone team did when Steve Jobs first demoed the iPhone, because it was all a sequence that had to go the right way, and if he didn't do it in that exact sequence, it wouldn't have worked. But no, it is coming along well. Did you mention about the designs as well? The pre-designed designs.
Yeah,
we don't. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say because some people may the strength of the system is how customizable it is. The weakness of it for some people would be like, that's just so overwhelming. How do I even make something? And so right from the start, we're building pre-designed designs so that it can be like you could choose from a couple and be like, that's what I want, and then just tweak it a little bit. And so we've made it really easy for us to be able to create those designs so that we can kind of add designs regularly. And so then you can just pick something that has already had Blue go through and tweak it out and make it look really nice. And then you can just switch out some logos and some text and you're good to go. So we built all of that in right from the start.
Yeah, so where it's going to live is essentially what you're seeing right now. I just deleted everything that was on that page. And once there's nothing left on the page, it brings you back to the template selector. And this template selector has two modes. One is you can see the Obvio designed templates. One, of course, is blank. But then from there, you also have a few others that you'll be able to see. Right now, there's just one. But then you also have a little toggle up here. And what you'll actually also be able to do is grab one of your own designs. So if you toggle it, like by default, it's toggled to Obvio designs. But if you flip that toggle, and I'm not going to do it right now because to be perfectly fair, I haven't looked at that in at least 3 months. So I have no idea if it'll work or not. So I'm not risking that one. But in theory, what'll happen is it will show, when you flip that toggle, it will show events in that organization that have the marketplace page in place and allow you to select one of your own marketplace pages. So it won't get copied when you do a duplicate of the event, but when you go into a marketplace page, you can pull in one of your own, or you'll be able to pull in one of your own designs that you've done. But here's again, where this is this morning when I tested this, it didn't work. So we'll see how it's progressing as I click select. So this is one of the examples. If you click view purchase page, kind of like what'll wind up happening is you're going to see a screenshot here, the same way you do on the template selector for dashboards. And then if you click view purchase page, or it'll essentially view demo, that'll pop open a demo page into a different window. So you can see, all right, yes, I like this, I don't like that. Or so it's easier to hopefully pick which of the templates you want to select. So I'm going to just go ahead and select dark. Oh, wow, it actually worked. Okay, so this is, a starting point, right? And if I were to come back here and just click refresh, everything, all the work that we've done will have disappeared. And the, one of the preliminary designs that we've been working on, you'll see. Again, this bottom area is an area that is not done yet, mostly because we've just been playing around with it. But here, one of the things that's unique about this page, different than we did earlier, the video itself has a border around it. So you can actually put a border around the video. You can make that border have rounded rectangles. When you play the video, it will play inside of the border. Again, that's not a unique feature. There are other platforms that do that as well. But it was one of the things that we were excited about when we were working on the platform itself. So that's essentially how that'll work. And then of course you'll be able to come in here and say, okay, I want to remove that logo and replace it with my own logo. Maybe that's, let's say that's it, and click save, right? Or go into the background and say, I want to remove this logo and change it for something else. So there, you can easily just go through and make changes to the template that we've created for you. Go in here and adjust your text. Go down here and just swap out the video for, the video that you want in place. And now it's there, right? So pretty easy, we think anyway. If you're like, hey, you know what, I like this, but I want this button, I want it at the top of the video instead of centered underneath. Well, great, no problem. Just drag it up and then move it across. And you're like, well, wait a second, I want this to be over further down. Okay, again, no problem. Just move your selector or your spacer and make that change, right? So it's a pretty easy system. Don't ask me about undos, Muddy. Just be happy with the fact that you've got what you've got. No, there is no undo function currently. It
Same
is on
same as the iPhone. Same as the iPhone when it came out. There was no undo.
Yeah.
No copy and paste.
Or honestly, you may remember a time in Obvio when you could not delete an attendee or delete a room or delete an area or delete an event. So yeah, undo is something that we would like to add. It's more complicated than you would think.
Yeah, it really is.
Or how about this? It's more complicated than I would think. So
on this Q&A call, an hour and a half in, do you think we should take the first question?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes.
It's very cool though. It was overdue to be able to tell you that we weren't just telling fibs when we were saying that it's getting close. And a huge thing we mentioned as well, a huge thing about that is the speed at which the page was loading. I don't know if you were noticing that, but when Blue was demoing the live page, how quickly that's loading, and that took a long time to make all that work. That's really important. So, all right, Heather, wake up, Heather. You're on deck now.
Okay. Sarah says, how do I customize the leaderboard? I can't seem to find out how to get there.
This is perfect, Grant. I'm going to let you take this one. I'll be right back.
Yes. Okay. So leaderboard, there isn't a lot of customization. Let me just pull up.
I just want to change the font color.
Yeah, okay. And which template are you using?
The Nifty 50. No, wait. Wait. Actually, no, that's my other dashboard. Let me figure it out.
Okay, well, on
Whoops.
so on the points section, let me just show you here.
Classic.
So so where you go to, let me reframe this a little bit. There we go. So attendees points. So now this is where we're customizing all the point system,
Oh,
and then page settings,
okay.
style.
Yeah. I was looking at the leaderboard
Okay.
page.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of all in this one spot. And so this is where you can customize a little bit. And there's a few styling options there. So you can play around with that. It also uses the global styles as well. So you can change text in here and see that change on that page too. So have a play with that.
Thanks.
You're
Can
welcome.
I just
Oh.
want to point out something that I saw on your dashboard. So when I open it up, it says the update Q&A dashboard, Jeff. Not sure if that's just for me, but
We might have. Do you know? This is the thing when we're demoing on the often on this event. I'll have a look. We may have added the first name twice as we were demoing at one time. This is the thing. We see some funny things in places sometimes because we've been messing around with it on these calls. I'll have a little look at that. Cool. Heather, next question.
Yep. I just changed it, by the way. It was first name.
Okay.
This one's also from Sarah. What does the change language do?
Yeah, so it's the more complicated way of doing the translations, as in different languages. And so when you enable different languages, then you have a choose language button that comes up at the bottom. I'm sure we've got a video about languages that we can send, but essentially, in the same way that you were seeing that the first name appear on the dashboard with a kind of a key, we call it, sort of a merge field. You can do that with most of the content all through the site. You put a key in there, and then in the language editor, you put in all the different text for all the different languages, and then they're the options that people can choose from. So this is not an automatic using Google Translate or anything like that. This is highly customizable languages for each language that you want to provide. So that's a advanced level move to provide multi-language text throughout the site.
yeah. I was just wondering because on your dashboard, the change language button, last time I tried it, it doesn't like change the text language.
Once again, we were playing around in the demo as we're playing around. We enabled it, and we haven't got multi languages there.
Yeah,
but,
I was just like wondering like
what is that for?
What it was supposed to do because that could be. Thanks.
Yep, no worries. Next question.
Rick asked, what video camera for live streaming and broadcast does Blue recommend? He previously talked about a Sony model.
I still like the Sony model. Oh. Yeah. This is this is one of those fun questions where it's like, how much money do we want to spend? What Muddy just said are two great examples. The Insta360 Link, I love, sitting right in front of me. I don't use it that often anymore just because of how my setup is. But I think it's an awesome little camera. I also love my particular camera. I happen to use an A6600, but Tamra's actually accurate. The A6400 for a non-moving camera is perfectly fine. And then I use the Sigma 16 mil lens. That's what's on my camera as well. So the camera that I'm looking at is exactly what you're talking about. I do like the Sony ZV-E10. I've played with that as well. I think that's a great little camera. This, you know, cameras are one of those things that right now anyway, it's probably something that you're going to buy. And in all likelihood, if you buy the right camera, you're going to be able to use it for a few years. Like the camera that I'm using, I'm pretty sure I got in 2020, and I have no intention of changing it right now. Like there's no need for it. There's a lot of other things that I'll change long before I change this camera. So, you know, I think Grant always says cry once or buy once, cry once, something along those lines. You know, so if you've got the budget, that's the direction I would go. And remember, the camera itself, or the camera and lens, is probably going to be around $1,000. And I don't believe the A6400 plugs directly into a computer. So you now have another problem that you need to solve for. It's not a complicated problem, but you need a way to get that HDMI cable from the camera into your computer. And there's a few different ways to do it. What sits on my desk is a Blackmagic ATEM, which I happen to love. So yeah, but there's a lot of good options out there.
Awesome. Next one's from Sarah. Informs, can you make it able to give them a tag if they answer yes?
No, you can't. But not natively, Muddy. You can't assign a tag inside of Obvio from a form response. There's a couple things that you can do to work around that, though. Number one, the main reason that people want to apply it, well, actually, sorry. Let me also be clear. You can't apply a tag in Obvio. Oddly enough, if you submit a form, you can apply a tag externally to a service integration, right? So if you're integrated with Keep or HubSpot or ConvertKit or Entreport or whatever, you can apply a tag externally. I don't believe you can apply a tag based on a specific form response, though, right? So if they answer yes or no to a specific answer or to a radio button, you can't apply a tag based on that answer. However, most people, when they ask that question, the reason they're asking it is because they then want to make something visible or not visible based on a person's answer inside of Obvio. And that you can do without the need for tags. So buttons, anywhere you can apply a rule, there is a form response option, and you can select that, then select the form, then select the question, then select the answer that you want to make the rule be based off of. And in other words, I can make a button be visible only to people who say yes to, are you a business owner? I can make a PDF be visible only to people who say, yes, I'm a business owner, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, yeah, thank you. But I was just going to point out that the reason that I wanted to do that was mostly because I wanted to just like differentiate who, say, like owned a business or who didn't. Like I just wanted to know that.
Where do you want to differentiate that?
What do you mean?
Like, where do you need that information? Do you need that information in Obvio? Do you want that information so that like okay, so if it's for Obvio, you can do that. It's usually for a rule, right? So that you can display a certain thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can do that without the need for tags. So that what you're trying to do is possible, just not the way you're wanting to do it. So here, let me show you an example. We'll go back to the TVE dashboard, which Muddy so eloquently put is never going to be the same. And let me go in and make sure that I still have forms, testing June 5th. And this one was, do you own a business? Yes or no? Okay. So now on the dashboard, I can say, let's say for people who own a business, let's get rid of this ugly button. It's hurting my eyes. Let's say for people who own a business, I want them to be able to try Obvio, but I don't want people who don't own a business to be able to try Obvio. So I want this button to be visible only to people who said, yes, I own a business, right? So now I'm going to go into the gear for this button. I'm going to go to rules. I'm going to click add a rule. And then from my show components when dropdown, I'm not going to select tags or groups or nested rules. I'm going to select form response. Okay. And then from form response, I'm going to go down to my June 5th testing form that we just created. And then I'm going to select, do you own a business? And I'm going to say is yes. So now when I click save here, I have my form response for do you own a business is yes. Now I'm going to click save. So now this button will only display for people who say yes to having owned a business. Now, let's say, as an example, you then wanted to say, I want to be able to see inside of Zoom who owns a business. Okay, because that may be something you want to do as well. Again, no problem. You can add a label, and visibility rules can be form responses, testing June 5th. Do you own a business? Yes. Let's say that's the rule. And I can add the word business and add this attendee label. So now anybody who said, yes, I own a business to that particular piece or to that particular form will have the word business added to their name in Zoom. So all of the things inside of Obvio that you would want to be able to do as a result of that tag being applied, if they said yes, you can do just without the tag. Does that help?
Yeah, perfect.
Cool.
Okay. This one's from Tamara. She loves all things Avio, but she does lose some of Zoom's functionality since she doesn't have the enterprise option. That would let her use the OSC, ISO, and now the tiles are eCam. She has an event this weekend that is a low-risk perfect practice event for her to plan with some of her new Zoom features without degrading her event. While she hates to lose her higher quality Zoom to use her personal account, would she just create a Zoom link and attach it to the button instead of sending them to the room in Obvio?
Yes.
That's what Blue says.
Sure.
So there's another way, and I think this is a reasonable way to do it. With the way that we secure Obvio. So what you can do is, when you create a new area, you have the option to have registration. The verbiage on that is not all that helpful, but let me just show you quickly. So this require approval to join area meetings. So what this does is it still is enabling Zoom registration, but it doesn't it doesn't when this is disabled, it will automatically approve the registration. When it's enabled, it's what we normally have, and what we recommend for everyone is to have it set where it requires approval, and that Obvio does that approval itself automatically. That means that only people that come through Obvio can get into Zoom, and what that disables is people sharing, going up to the green, tick mark in Zoom and sharing that link and sharing the meeting ID and the passcode. it stops people, because what happens is if they share that, people type that into Zoom, it'll go to a registration page. They'll fill out the registration form, and then it says your registration is awaiting approval, and that goes nowhere. And that's how we have secured Zoom and allow it only to work from Obvio. However, there's a couple of times where you may want to allow it. And one of those cases is a help desk Zoom area, for example, where you want people that may not have been able to get into Obvio properly. They might have an issue with their account or whatever it is, their attendee. They can get into that. They fill in their first name, last name, email, and they get into that Zoom meeting. So, Tamara, what actually happens with that registration process when you have this disabled is if you log into an account with Zoom ISO or Zoom OSC or Tiles or whatever, it can be a free Zoom account, doesn't matter. As long as you're logged in, what will happen when you try to join that area, that room meeting ID, is it'll register using what you're logged in as and join the meeting. So the official answer was what Blue said, and that is you upgrade to enterprise and you get all the ZAC IDs and you get all this stuff, and away you go.
Right.
I just wanted to give you another option, particularly if you're managing a smaller event where the potential of someone sharing the Zoom links and people coming in is something that you can manage.
It's a free
Then-
event, and it's a
Right.
small group that meets
No
every
big deal.
month. So it's the perfect
There you go.
event to try things in.
There you go. So if
Yep.
you uncheck that box
Mhm.
and then log in with an account into those apps,
Okay.
and then join using the meeting ID and the passcode,
Yep.
it'll register, approve the registration, and join with that app, and
Awesome.
then play around with it and have a go with that.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
the other thing I would just suggest is that we have on our wish list to create some more granular options for the Zoom options, that when you're creating a room or when you're creating an area,
Right.
to have a few of those, like a Q&A module, for example. You want
Right.
to turn
Right.
Q&A.
I missed that.
You want to turn Q&A. Yeah. So we're working on the list of things that we can enable to be able to do that. In the meantime, we can manually update certain meetings. If
Right.
there's something that you're desperate for, send it through help@obv.io.
I just want to get more
and
practice
say-
on those things, and on a meeting like the one I have where nobody's going to care if I start putting them on my Stream Deck and popping them into spotlighting and
Right.
unspotlighting them. It's like the perfect meeting for that, so I can get some more experience.
Yeah. So it's not really hacky in this
Yeah.
way. It's just that you're decreasing the security a little bit, which by the sounds of
Yeah.
it is not a big deal for you. So
Right. Cool.
you can imagine when we have 20,000 people in the
Listen,
event.
I love Obvio,
Yeah.
and I totally get it. It's such a huge jump for just that functionality, because I don't need any of the other things for an event that is, 30 people.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But I would
Well, and look-
I will say this: if there was a add-on option, like for different events, like you could get my money, you could have it. If there was like a way to say, well, for this event, I need access to these things, you could totally,
Right.
you probably get my money that way.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
have a lot of money, but I'd probably give it to you. Thanks, guys.
And look, most people, most of our Obvio users don't even know what Zoom OSC
Right.
is, or
It's
Zoom
this is a
ISO
me
and
problem.
Don't care. Yeah, but that's why I wanted to find some sort of solution for you. So play
Thank you.
around
I
with that and
appreciate
see
that.
how you go. No worries. All right, next question.
Muddy wants to know if there's any interesting updates to broadcast.
Nice. There is, you've learnt from me that sometimes the smallest of features are the ones that I get most excited about. And I slipped this one through under Blue's radar, and I didn't even realize that the developers must have seen how easy it was, and they just made it happen. What it is? Let me see what event I can use. Is it this one? Yes, I can do it in this one. All right.
Blue, are you even aware of this update, or is this still a surprise to you as well?
No, I found out about it this morning.
So, in broadcasts, okay, so I'm just showing you that I've got a user with this account, Fred Blogs, right? So now if I go to this, I'll show you. Here's just a test broadcast, and I've just showing that they're, what the fields are that you could have in there. So the way that a test works is that we can test like this. And now, as we know, what happens with a test like this is it's really just a test to show the formatting of that broadcast. And so what it does is that it just uses sort of dummy data in those fields, just so you can see what the format is of the. I'll show you what that looked like. You're probably not seeing that. Stand by. Let me fix that. Change to a region here. Come on, demoing we've done of new things today. Exciting.
So exciting.
Let me share a little region. Okay. There we go. All right. So that's the test that I just got, right? So it came to my, so I mean, obviously very, very basic, but it just put in first name as Obvio, last name test broadcast is what comes in all the time. And then the email is the real email, and there was no login URL because it's just a test. It's really just for formatting. However, if we were to use an email address that is an attendee, then it will go and find the data of the attendee like this. So it found the attendee data in the event, and so it's using the real data. And so, Muddy, you know exactly why I asked for this. And that is sometimes you've sent a broadcast out, then you've added a new attendee, and they haven't got that broadcast yet. This is just a way just to send off one email to that one attendee. And because it doesn't show test in any way. I'm not suggesting that you're clicking this and sending it to hundreds of people. You would just schedule a new one for that. You duplicate the broadcast, and you'd set it to go off in 5 minutes, and away it goes. But occasionally, or sometimes more than occasionally, you have someone you've just added. It's not really a welcome email at that point. You're just wanting to send off a particular email, just one, put their email address in, and away it goes. So now all tests, if you are an attendee, are going to show real data. There you go. You're welcome. I knew you'd appreciate that. Blue's like, that's not a test. That's not what a test functionality is supposed to be.
Well, no, I was actually thinking you got them to do that. You should have just put a new thing on the attendees tab that has a little email icon. You click on it and you select the broadcast you want to send to them. Yeah, why didn't you do it that way?
I know. I thought about that.
That's what you really want. You just snuck it through the test broadcast system. That's kind of already there. So it was a pretty easy thing for them to do. But
That's why it went through so
That is-
quickly, right? I didn't want to slow down
Yeah,
Marketplace
probably.
anymore. I want to slow down Marketplace and all these other features. So we just got this one through nice and quickly. There you go.
Well,
Um,
that is all the questions that have come through.
Oh, look at that. Maybe people just wanted to see all the new things that we're doing. It's great.
Did you say there are no other questions that have come through?
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow. Wow. Cool.
Wow. Okay then.
Well, that was fun. Right at 6:51.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd have time to spare today. Any other final questions or comments or thoughts or observations?
I'm excited. I'm really excited about. I'm so excited about Marketplace being done. Mostly because
lots of reasons.
I'm so sick of I'm so sick of Amy asking me how's Marketplace coming in for me to have to say the same thing every freaking time.
So close.
We're getting there. We are getting there. That's awesome.
You can see how different it was, like the difference between the first version that we had and now redoing it and then building a whole bunch more functionality into it. You know, there's so much more. We should refresh our memories of looking at version 1. No, don't do that.
It's not necessary. It's just not necessary. There's no need to put anybody
look back.
through looking at the original version of Marketplace.
Only look forward. Only look forward.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
The magnificence of Marketplace. Nice. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll be back next Wednesday. I'm still trying to find another time slot to do to catch some of our people that don't get this time zone. So just look out on the Facebook group for that. That'll happen at some point. Great. Have a good week.
Awesome.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Is Janie still here? No, she left, didn't she? Yeah. All right. Well, next time. Awesome.
Cool.
All right, Grant. I'll talk to you later. Good to see everybody.
Right.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. Bye-bye.